Welcome to the $1 Billion Podcast, a weekly show about the entrepreneurial journey and making it big in any industry. We're your hosts, Joe White and Kane Daniel.
And today we have with us, we're really excited, we have Suganthan. He's actually a REMIC graduate from our course, the mortgage agent course. And then he started his career as a mortgage agent in 2020 with Expert Financial, and has since, and this is in the last 4 years, he's closed over 75 million in transactions. He has a background in accounting, but he found his passion for real estate financing when he purchased his first property at age 23. We know how hard that is to do, especially now. So inspired by that experience, he transitioned into the industry, in the mortgage industry, which is really driven by his love for building client relationships and helping them achieve their goals. So we're excited to introduce Suganthan. And please, if you can, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm very excited and such a wonderful introduction. So thank you. I started off, I guess my real estate passion started off when I was the age of 23. At that time, I was actually coming out of the gym, and one of my mentors at that time, he told me, "Hey, Sugan, don't buy a car, buy real estate. You'll thank me 10, 15 years down the line." And so, we had that discussion. So since then, I started to figure out how can I acquire a property at the age of 23. So I went to various different brokers. I went to various different mortgage agents. I went to the branch. Most of them said, I can't get a property, right? Or I'm too young. I got to wait until I pay off my OSAP debt, et cetera, et cetera. So, but there was no one willing to give me a plan. So for me, I don't like to just give up. I like to explore all my options, exhaust all my options. And then I met a gentleman at RBC who was able to kind of guide me in the right direction. So rather than wait X amount of years, I was able to get a property within 6 months through the help of my parents, the gift program, and all that stuff. So it's very eye-opening in the sense that, there's a lot of people who are willing to just say no and not really take you in as a client and kind of take you through the journey, because the journey can start, 3 years from now or 4 years from now, but the end goal is to help them get into a home. So when I had that experience, it was very eye-opening for me, seeing that, hey, I love the real estate industry. I love looking at homes. I still look at homes till this day. And the reason why I chose the mortgage route versus the real estate route is I'm a numbers guy. I have a background in accounting. Even in university, I used to tutor accounting. So I was always a numbers guy, plus with the flexibility of working from home or working from anywhere. So sometimes my wife and I might go on trips to Dominican, and I'll be working from there, talking to clients. So that flexibility is great because I can now have balanced family time and enjoy the vacation scenes.
Business from the beach.
It's great. It's actually in Dominican probably 2 weeks ago. So it was great. We're talking to clients and you're still working, but you're still able to enjoy vacations. So I love that flexibility. So aside from that, to give a little bit more personal insights about myself, I'm a huge advocate for fitness and going to the gym. I did compete in a couple of competitions like powerlifting and bodybuilding. It's one of my hobbies. I also used to be a musician. I used to be a drummer. I used to be part of a band where we used to travel across Canada and some parts of the US. So those were back in the early days when I was in university. And nowadays, it's more so work, growing the business. And every day I'm a student of the game, right? I get to learn so much from so many different individuals. Everyone has their own experiences. Everyone has their own way of running their mortgage business. And I find it very interesting, and it keeps me on my toes because every day you learn something new and you're never fulfilled.
Sugan, you just said a ton, and I want to unpack it all a little bit at a time. I'm wondering first, though, if our listeners Google your name, are they going to find a drummer? Are they going to find a bodybuilder, or are they going to find a mortgage agent?
I think we Googled my name a few months ago. I think you'll see a bit of the drumming, but mostly you'll see mortgages.
Excellent.
So sorry, you mentioned that you were into bodybuilding. Is there anything? I mean, that had to have been very disciplined to be able to accomplish that or to be involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
is there anything that you found from that's transferred over to the mortgage industry or has helped you in your entrepreneurial drive?
Absolutely. So when I did competitions, it's very strict. Everything's very planned out, and you have the from your diet to when you eat, how you eat, why you eat it. So everything's very meticulous, right? Fish, green beans, and a tablespoon of coconut oil.
Mm.
So it's not the most appealing diet, but you have to do it in order to achieve a certain look, right? And that's the same thing with mortgages. Not every single thing is not going to be appealing, right? For example, compliance. Can be a very daunting and, no offense, boring task, but it needs to be done because we need to make sure that everything that we do is compliant with audit. So, so in terms of that, I'm able to take what I learned from fitness and apply it to mortgages, because there are good things about every occupation and there's also the bad things. And sometimes, we have to sacrifice and we have to kind of look at what our end result is and how we're going to help clients get into homes. And, when you kind of go back into fitness, my end goal was to look a certain way, right? And in order to achieve that, there's certain things you have to do. And some things you'll like it, sometimes you won't.
So again, I think you're the only accountant or accounting background person that I know that would also be saying he's a bodybuilder. I'm wondering though, just on that, and a business analyst, I guess, so you have a background with the RBC, and being an accountant or describing yourself as an accounting or numbers person. What was the transition like going into more of a sales environment where marketing is also important? What sort of challenges did you find there, and then how did you overcome those?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is now that you're by yourself, you have to figure out, how you're going to get more business. So one thing that I've always done is maintain relationships at such a young age. So even from 23, whether I'm at the gym, which is where I'm at most of the time back then, I was able to make a lot of relationships with realtors, with accountants, with, a lot of professionals, because a lot of people at the gym at that time, I typically go to the gym at around 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. You see a lot of professionals. So once you start engaging in conversation, you get their contacts. So I think that really helped me transition, because when they found out that I was doing mortgages, it was more easier to get their business because I built that trust over the years, right? Along with having mentorship. So one thing that I like to do is learn from others who've been in the industry for, more than 10, 15 years. They're veterans. And I think them taking me under their wing and showing me the ropes, I can confidently say that I'm not a rookie because I have support, right? I can go and say I have, 5, 6, 10 years worth of experience, because collectively as a team, if you have a group of people who you can rely on that can guide you in the right direction, that experience is technically what you're taking and helping out the clients. So by taking that approach, I was able to acquire a lot of clients, and then providing exceptional client experience, right? Always trying to find a way to help clients. So every day I'll try to provide daily updates on where the deal is progressing, or take the time to explain why certain documentation is needed, right? As rules change, we need more and more documents. So the second thing is to provide that exceptional customer service, and then ask for referrals, right? Before the closing date. So I've been able to get some clients, they've come back to me 4, 5, 6 times in a span of 2, 3 years, because they might be buying another property, might be refinancing. So just from that, I feel like that relationship really helps. And word of mouth is my biggest referral source right now. And I think that comes from providing good service and continue to provide good service for every client.
What did you find interested in knowing what you found if there was one, of the most important things that you learned or were mentored about when you came into the industry?
Yeah, so one of the most important things was, so we have hundreds of different lenders that we can talk to, right? So rather than try to build relationships with hundreds and different of lenders, it's best to just have 4 or 5 lenders that you can talk to, build a relationship with, and send deals to them, right? Because you can get overwhelmed with the amount of information that's out there, right? So from there, I started building relationships, like with, CMLS, Scotia, and I built a really good relationship with the BDM, and I really try to understand their products, right? I have Community Trust as a great lender for me right now, and I really understand what their product is about, right? But if I try to learn like all the different B lending products or A lending products, I personally can't remember all of it. So, and you won't be able to build that relationship, right? So, I think that was very important, and that really helped me because at certain times when we were trying to get, a certain deal approved, or for example, there's a financing condition we need an answer within a couple of days, you're able to go to that BDM and they're able to help you out. So, that really helped. That was one of the best tips that I received. And even till this day, I try to find new lenders, new products. But at the same time, I like to keep that core group, which helps me help my clients too.
Oh, what a fantastic tip. Yeah.
So again, you also mentioned referrals. And obviously that's can be a big piece of anyone's business. I'm wondering, when you first started and you mentioned meeting some people in the gym and that kind of thing, was there anyone or I guess, what advice would you have for some of our listeners might be considering this industry? And when we talk about getting referral sources, like talking to other professions, realtors, accountants, that type of thing, that the challenge often comes across: why would someone deal with me? Why would someone send me their clients knowing that I'm brand new to the industry? I'm wondering if that's something that you've battled with and how you've sort of handled that.
Yeah, I have. So I think if you're part of the right brokerage, and you have and they provide like really good training. So I'm with a great brokerage. They provided like tremendous training. I don't go outside and market myself as a rookie or I just started mortgages. I go out and say, no, I'm a seasoned veteran, right? Because the first couple of deals I got, I would say 60-70%, my broker really helped me out with that. And my broker has, 20, I'm not sure how many years of experience he has, but he has a lot of years under his belt. So for me, if I can provide that service, if I know I'm comfortable, I can provide that service, and I speak with the brokerage and the broker is actually helping me structure the deal and put the deal together, technically you are dealing with, someone who's not experienced.
Like an experienced team. They're dealing with your
team instead. So, even now to this day, I'm thinking about it. I would say, yeah, we have a team. We have, we have 15 years of experience, and you're not technically lying. You kind of do, because you're leveraging your resources and you're providing value. And from that, I think I'm able to win people's trust, right? And having that conversation. So initially, when I meet someone in person, I like to ask, instead of trying to sell them or tell them to come with me, I like to hear their story, and I like to provide them with options, right? So to give you an example, there was one client back in January. So they were having a bad experience with another broker, right? And so their closing was happening in a week's time. However, the appraisal hasn't been done. They haven't been getting any updates. So they've had the file for like 4 or 5 months, and they were promised one thing, but when I looked at the commitment, they were promised another thing. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I've implemented this year was doing video chat calls. So because the client was overseas, they were very stressed, they were panicking. So I recorded myself, I introduced myself, this is what I like to do, and I'd be happy to help you out. We had a couple of phone calls. I was able to instantly just build trust with them like that, right? And I was able to do that by helping them under extreme pressures. Clients are always going to be under pressure. So what I did was I tried to alleviate that by telling them, hey, leave the pressure with me. I'm here to do my job and help you. And in a matter of 3 days, we were able to get the approval. And before we didn't have to ask for an extension, and we got the deal funded. So I think so that's where the value comes in, right? And so there's
Yeah,
two things: using the brokerage and
it's an amazing point because in thinking about it, it is a very stressful time when you're getting a mortgage, buying a house. Heaven forbid it's the combination of the two. And I think a lot of mortgage brokers look at the numbers, they look at the process, and maybe leave out that interpersonal connection and understanding that a good part of your role in being successful is to help alleviate that stress on their part. So that's a really important point that you make there. It's not just about doing the deal; it's about doing the deal and making them feel good about it and alleviating their stress along the way. So, have you found when that's a focus of yours?
that is definitely. I think that's just my personality. Is I'm pretty calm. So even
Right.
one of the lenders told my broker there could be a fire happening in the back. Like the deal might be, burning alive, but every single time I take a phone call, I'm like, "Hey, how's your day going?" Right. So, I think it's just my personality. It's to be calm. Try to be calm. I mean, or we all have our faults. There's certain days where I'm not, but when it comes to mortgages, I do have a calm approach to that, and probably because I love what I do, and I
Yeah.
generally want to help the client get to their goal. And yes, there will be challenges, but there are challenges that you can overcome, right? I mean, sometimes there might not be, but for the most part, there is a challenge that you can overcome, and just trying to keep them level-headed and not stressed, because that's when we make poor or rational decisions, right? So if I'm going to be heated or stressed, it's not going to help the client. So
Now, so again, you've also mentioned doing video calls, and that's not a new technology, but I'm wondering how you have used technology and maybe where you see the future of technology in your role going.
yeah, so I'm still adapting to technology. So it is very time consuming, but it's very rewarding. So for example, last year, most part of last year, I focused a lot on the CRM. So I used Blue Mortgage, right? So it took a while setting everything up and even till this day, I'm still setting it up. I think that's the thing with technology; it's always improving, and you kind of have to be on top of it and adapt to the changes. So CRM, I think it's the number one thing that I'm using right now. That's been really helpful because I know when renewals are going to happen, and renewals are a way of us getting income as well. You can reach out to the clients, help them out, negotiate for a better rate, remove renewal fees if there are any renewal fees. So having a CRM allows me to have an overview of what's happening, what's going to happen, and what happened in the past. So it's definitely a good tool that I'm using right now. When it comes to video calling, I'm still getting used to it. I'll be honest with you. I did that one video. I haven't done a video since. So it's something that I'm trying to adapt. And I think when it comes to technology, it's at the end of the day, it's something you have to, when you look at it, it's something that you know that you will use. We're not going to use every single technology out there. There's so many different tools. There's so many different options out there. At the end of the day, I think you have to test it out and see what you will use, and see what you like to use and how it can help your clients. Right. So
And so when you're using, and the CRM, by the way, that's the customer relationship management software. So this is the inception of your data. This is the sort of lifeblood of all of your data and what you're working with. And I'm wondering, you talked about the CRM. What does a typical day look like for Sugan? Like what does your typical day look like?
yeah, so I typically start off my day at like 5:30 ish. I'll go to the gym. I'll come back. I'll listen to like a podcast while I'm working out, and then excuse me. After that, I'll plan out my day. What deals are priority? What needs to get done? So I look at it from uh, what current deals do I have that needs to progress forward. So on my CRM, I have deals that's current active deals that needs work, and then I have pre-approval deals where I'm helping clients get into that approval stage. So I'll kind of plan to see which clients need focus. So rather than focus on 15 clients in one day, I might focus on, you know, 3 of the most important ones that are coming close, like that's going to be closing soon. And then I might focus three clients who need help getting to that pre-approval stage. Right. And then I'll also plan out, I'll look at my renewals list and see which clients I need to reach out to. So from a mortgage side, I try to focus a little bit on every aspect: active deals, non-active deals, renewals. So, while I'm focusing on current deals, I'm also focusing on increasing my pipeline as well. There's also another component where I have a partners tab. So partners tabs is basically where it lists out all my partners, realtors, accountants, strong referral partners, where I'll reach out to them and have a conversation with them. Nothing in terms of trying to get more deals, just see how's everything going, just to understand how their business is going and their family life and all that stuff. And more often than not, they might like, oh, you know what? I had a conversation with someone. They might need help with the mortgage. Okay, great. And then that sparks up a conversation for a new potential lead.
So Sugan, I'm curious because you mentioned it. There's 2 different sides to the business. There's working in the business and then working on your business, which I think you summarized there. If you had to pick a number, you're 4 years into the industry now. What does your division of time look like in a typical week, for example? If you had to pick a number, like a percentage.
I would say I spend 40% of my time working on deals, and then I would spend 60% of my time looking for new deals. And
has that transitioned over time for you? I mean, it must have in the beginning been different, but I'm wondering what it was like 2 years ago or 1 year ago.
Oh, for sure. 1 year ago, I'd be working on one deal for the whole day. So I'll be figuring, okay, like even when the lender didn't get back to me, you'd be anxious because it's your first deal. And I think when you start off, you're dealing with hundreds and thousands of dollars, right? And it gets very nerve-wracking, which is totally understandable. I think it's part of growing in the industry is when you first start, you're dealing with so much money, you're dealing with banks, you're dealing with clients. They're going to be coughing up 100, 200,000. So you're dealing with a lot of money. So it is very nerve-wracking. So initially I would spend almost my whole day. I think the first deal was a private deal with Fisgard. And I think I spent the whole day calling the underwriter, figuring out if everything's okay, it's going to close. And
you cared. Yeah. Yeah. We talk a lot about this, about the satisfaction that you get from doing a deal, from helping people and really having that proud, good feeling. Do you have any, I know you touched on it earlier, but do you have anything that pops in your head, like a success story or a particularly proud moment in your work?
Proud moment? I'm trying to think here. I think just getting that compliment, that feedback from clients when they say, oh, you changed my life, or, you made my dreams come true. I think that beats any sort of, monetary income that we get or anything like that, because you literally change someone's life through your service. Right. And I think going back to the example back in January, that gentleman, he left me a really nice review saying that he was stranded. He was outside of the country. He didn't know what was happening. And then when he came to me, he was getting daily updates. I made sure I gave him multiple updates, right? 3, 4 updates in a day. And in his review, he said, yes, by far the best person I've worked with, and he'll be using me forever. And he made sure he made his dreams come true. And I think that gentleman was 23 or 24 years old. So going back to it's like almost came in full circle. I was able to help someone who was 23, 24, who was not getting the service that they wanted, and came to me. I was able to help them out, and it's funded, and he got the keys to his new home.
Do you think that that's the most rewarding part of the role?
Absolutely, yeah. I think at the end of the day, if you're doing good for anyone, or if you're helping someone, and you're going out there, you're giving it all you have to help someone, I think it's the best feeling.
That's great.
Was there anything, Sue, again, I'm curious, especially for those listening that are considering a career as a mortgage agent, was there anything that surprised you, or maybe that you feel maybe are misconceptions about the industry as a mortgage agent? So when you first came in, is there anything that surprised you or that you think is a general misconception about this industry?
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that mortgage or the mortgage agents or mortgage brokers are they're scams. They're just there to take your money. I think we get that bad rep. I've heard it a couple of times. People are more willing to go to a branch than a mortgage broker because they feel like they're going to get ripped off, or maybe they might have had some bad experiences, and it does happen. But even on the branch side, you do have bad experiences as well. It's not always
Absolutely.
a great experience on the other
Mhm.
side. I think the most important thing is that was the biggest thing that I've came across, and I think even till this day, some people have the idea or notion that brokers are, they're there to scam you, right? So, or kind of take your money, or they charge extra fees, or stuff like that, right?
And sometimes it just takes one bad apple to ruin everything, right? If someone had that experience or heard about someone having that experience. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, and so far in your experience now, have you seen any other agents either at your brokerage or in the industry that have come up after you and experienced some level of success as well? And even if you haven't, I'm just really curious to know, what do you think sets successful agents apart from those coming in that don't find success?
Yeah, actually, there are a few who've accelerated as well. There's me, um, another gentleman as well. Like me and him, kind of started at the same time, and we both accelerated almost. I think now he's doing better than I am, which is great. So, I think what I think that drive and hunger to find, like, to be better as a mortgage agent is where it all starts, right? Especially if you like, I love underwriting a file. I love putting a file together and figuring out how to structure a file to get the deal approved. I've also had people who came to me and who asked me questions. Like, kind of try to like mentor them, right? In a sense, like, hey, how can you get more deals? Like people who start new in the industry. And I think it all comes down from like your passion. So for me, I'm very passionate about mortgages. Even my wife told me one day I was sleeping, and I was talking about a deal in my sleep. So, I think it really comes from that. So you have to really ask yourself, do you really love mortgages? And it's fine not to like it, but do you really love the whole idea of, you know, talking to a client, figuring out which bank you want to put the application together, come up with a good story in your lender notes, deal with the brokers, deal with the lenders, deal with the clients, the goods and the bads. Do you really like and love what you do? And as long as you do that, then you have the hunger to look for more business, right? Even when I'm doing well, when things months, you have good months, you have bad months. And when I don't have bad months, for example, first couple of weeks of January was a pretty slow month. I try to figure out any and every way I can to get more deals, right? Or to talk to people, or to be out there, to put myself out there, and I think that drive it comes from your passion.
It sounds like you have to love the process, not just the result, to really
Yeah,
find that happiness and success. Yeah,
exactly.
that's great. I'm wondering, Sugan, if it's, I think there's a lot of people at sort of when you started several years ago now, I think a lot of people that are in that position that are thinking about joining and thinking about the challenges that they'll have in this industry. So I'm wondering, is there anything that sticks out from you that maybe surprised you that you didn't expect when you joined the industry?
I think when you don't really know, I guess what surprised me is I think the whole process. I don't think okay, the course was wonderful. I think it really preps you to have all the basic knowledge and foundation to go out there and talk about mortgages. But when it comes to actually doing the mortgages, building those relationships, I think that is, it takes a lot, right? Especially if you're an introvert, if you're a shy person, for you to pick up the phone and call a BDM and start building a relationship with them, go out for a coffee, or, or you might talk to clients, or something might go bad, or, for example, a deal might fall apart, and now you have to call and explain to the client and have those tough conversations. I think those are the things um, that really hits you. And I don't think anyone can't really prepare you for that until you're fully active in a deal and actually doing a deal, right? So I think that's where it really hits you. Taking a deal from A to Z and how that process is like is very eye opening, and dealing with those challenging conversations that you need to have with clients or with banks is very it's very challenging as well. And even to this day, I challenge I am it is challenging for me as well.
By the way, what do you think is the similarity between you and the gentleman that you alluded to a few minutes ago, who came in after you and is doing very well? Do you see any similarities between the two of you, and maybe how you approach business or how you go after business?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're both similar in the sense that he's always going out there and asking other brokers. He even comes to me and asks me, "Hey, what am I currently doing right now? Like, which lenders am I working with? How am I getting new business?" So he's always seeking advice. He's always seeking out talking to different brokers. And I think at the end of the day, yes, we are a broker. We are trying to get our own deals, but a broker can be your best friend as well, right? So for me, I have a lot of brokers who I work with, who I get mentorship from, who I still talk to, and I think that's where it helps, because when you speak to 4 or 5 different brokers and you see what they're doing, right, you can kind of incorporate that into your business, and you can kind of go from there. And I think that's one of the things that me and him do.
Mm-hmm.
That's different is that we talk to different brokers. We learn what they're doing. We learn their strategies, and we try to implement that into our own practices. And I think that's where you will see the most growth, because if I can spend an hour learning from someone who has 20 years of experience, and I can take something out of that and I can implement that in my own business, I think the growth there eventually, right, is going to increase.
Yeah, fantastic piece of advice.
I love that you said that, because I think some people don't really know how welcoming this industry can be. And in speaking with brokers, all across the country, hearing their stories and hearing how they enjoy to help people, I think that's a really a principle of a lot of successful brokers, both on the client side and then even in the industry. So it's really, really great to hear that it's right in line with that.
Yeah.
I know we're really harping on this, but I'm very curious from your perspective, if you sort of went back in time right now and went back to sort of your 18-year-old self, 20-year-old self, or even just before you started in the industry, is there anything that sticks out in terms of advice that you would give yourself?
I probably would have started mortgages earlier. I would have took the license earlier than, I think I got my license when I was in my mid 20s. So I would have wanted to get my license at 18 right then and there. I always felt like I was never ready. And personally, that's just the personality I have. I feel like all the ducks needs to be aligned before I can dive in and take, and leap into something that's totally different. And for me to get out of my comfort zone, it does take a lot. It's a big internal battle that I had. But if I were to give that advice, I would have got the license a lot sooner than later.
Like, just jump in. And what is it? You mentioned introvert earlier. Are you more of an introverted? Typically, you had to break out of that shell. Is that what you were alluding to?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm very shy. However, I think when you're a mortgage agent, I have a different personality. But when I'm not a mortgage agent, I just like to relax at home, or just go for a good nice meal. And I'm not much of a talkative person, but when it comes to mortgages, I love talking, because I love providing or helping or help people understand about mortgages. So I think I have two different personalities, I guess. you do have to be a little bit more extroverted when you're in this industry. I think it's required, and it's something that you need to do in order to.
So how did you do that? Like, how did you find the motivation or will to overcome your sort of natural wanting to naturally not have to do that, right? Not be extroverted, not pick up the phone, make cold calls. What is it that you found, or how did you find yourself motivated to actually go and do that?
That's a good question. I think rather than take phone calls, I like to meet people in person, and so I did a lot of coffee, like you get coffee shops. So we met a lot of realtors, or sometimes even clients in coffee shops, or face to face. And I think that really helped, because then you started to become more comfortable. And as you start becoming more comfortable, even now, if I were to pick up the phone, it's not like I can easily pick up the phone and call someone and be totally comfortable personally. But there is some times where I'm like, hey, should I call or should I not? So I still do go through those challenges, but it's not as much, because I've had the habit of now talking to so many people on a regular basis that I'm just getting a little bit more comfortable each day. So I think you putting yourself out there, maybe starting off with maybe meeting one BDM once a week, just going for coffee and just talking. And once you get more comfortable, then you can start meeting, maybe 2 or 3 people, and then you can start talking about mortgages to your family. So you kind of retain the knowledge that you're getting once you're learning from, whether it's a REMIC course, or if it's a product that you've learned, or if it's a client that you've helped, and talking to close people around you, and then expanding and talking to others. I think it definitely helps.
So it sounds like at least part of it is confidence and knowing that you understand things, and that you also understand that you can help, and that can help break you out of your shell a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry, it's not the best advice, but I'm still figuring out my end. So. Yeah.
Also, a fantastic piece of advice to reach out to BDMs and get together with them. And I mean, that's something you spoke about earlier in regards to relying on others in the industry to get some mentoring and ideas. BDMs are typically those business development managers who've been around for a little while, and they love to talk to new agents and help get those new sources of business. So what a stroke of genius in saying, I'm just going to go out and start breaking the ice with these BDMs. Great idea.
And just to add to that, a BDM, as Joe mentioned, business development manager, we're talking about those BDMs at various lenders, right, that as a broker you would work with, just for the listeners that are maybe didn't quite get all of that. But that's, really, really nice piece of advice there as well.
Yeah. And you don't have to feel obligated to do like business with them. Like, you can just meet them to understand their products. Right. And more often than not, they're very, very nice people who are more than willing to meet you. Or sometimes the BDMs they come to your office and do presentations. Mm-hmm. So there's different ways you can meet a BDM. If you're introverted, you'd rather be in a group setting, maybe you can go to one of their lender presentations. Right. But yeah, I think they're very helpful.
That's excellent.
Hey, do you remember when you first started? What did you do, like, for the first couple of weeks where you started looking for business? What was your MO there to try to get new business?
I personally called all my close friends. And so one of my friends he had a pre-construction, and he had a property he had to close pretty quickly. So I was fortunate enough to get one deal pretty quickly. And then from there, I leveraged my broker. He helped me out a lot. And at that time, I was doing a bit of personal training as well. Mm-hmm. So given that I was kind of able to, while I had clients there, I was helping them out from a fitness perspective. I was able to kind of tell them that I'm in the mortgage industry now. So some clients, they wanted to buy a home. So they're like, hey, I got rejected by the banks. Is this something you can help me with? So I started to help people with the pre-approval process. It didn't really go anywhere, but I think the learning curve and how to approach clients, how to, gather the documents, how to structure a deal was very valuable. It taught me a lot. So I think from there, it was just a bunch of pre-approvals. You're trying to help people get approved, figure out solutions and strategies for them. And then from there, I met a couple of realtors And then I think they had a fallout with one of their other brokers. I think they took advantage of a client. So
Timing. Yeah.
yeah, so I think there was the right timing as well. I think luck is part of the game, and I got lucky in that sense. And I got a lot of deals from that realtor because I was able to provide good customer service where the client would call him like, hey, this guy's amazing. And once the realtor hears that, he's going to send you more business. So he literally said, oh, okay, I'm not going to deal with the other guy anymore. I'm going to deal with you. So.
And Sugan, what was I love that you mentioned that you sort of started and you were also doing training. You mentioned you were doing training. What was your transition like to go basically all of your time and energy to be focused on mortgages? How long? What was that timeline like? And was it hard was that a difficult transition for you?
It was a difficult transition. I think initially I was still managing like my other IT jobs. I was managing a full-time job plus mortgages. With the flexibility of working from home, I was able to kind of figure out how I wanted to approach my mortgage business. So the challenges I faced was trying to figure out what to do. Like you wake up and you're your own boss technically, right? So I think the challenge is trying to figure out where to start, what to do. Do I make calls right now or do I work on a deal? So I did do some coaching. There was some coaching that our brokerage went to. It's called Todd Duncan. I think that was very valuable because he talks about how to structure your day as a mortgage broker. And I think there's a lot of valuable tools out there. And so what he talks about is kind of breaking it in chunks. So you want to designate some time towards underwriting. You want to designate it sometimes to make phone calls for clients. You want to designate sometimes to make calls for with your lenders or learn about products, knowledge acquisitions. So I think you need to kind of figure out, okay, as I think when you're first starting off, you want to learn, you want to make phone calls and then you want to take one or two clients and you want to provide the best service you can possible. I think if you try to take on too many when you're new, I think you'll get overwhelmed. But if you take on one and you really focus on learning the process, learning how to underwrite the file, learning how everything works, I think A, you'll enjoy it better, and B, the learning curve is going to be so much more.
I love that answer. This is something that we talk about a lot, is entering the industry part-time while you still have another gig going on, and how that can work and if it can work. And I think you're proof that if you're really focused and that if you do have a plan and you can transition and you can make it work. So that's really, really great to hear. I'm wondering, Sugan, before we wrap up here, do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave our listeners with?
I think the mortgage industry it definitely changed my life and it changed, I think you evolve and you grow every day as a person in this industry. And I think especially right now, it's challenging times for everyone. I probably get calls very often, from clients where they say they're challenged, they're facing difficult times, right, making their mortgage payments. And I think it's a great time and great opportunity for mortgage brokers to kind of go in and help people, right? Help clients figure out solutions for them. I think in our channel, we have so many different products, so many different ways where we can help people. And I don't think people are aware of that. So nowadays I'm seeing a lot more content online. However, I think my goal is, if you're going to get into this industry to help people, I think it's a very good industry. Don't do it for the money. Do it for the sake of helping people get into homes, right? And I think you will enjoy it a lot better, and I think you'll have a successful career as well. And be a sponge every day. There's something new to learn every single day.
I love that advice so much. And where can our listeners find you online? You have a website?
Yeah, I am doing a little bit of branding right now. So my company is called Grit Mortgages, GRIT Mortgages. So you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. I'm currently working on a website right now. So I'm still working through the rebranding process. I'm not the type of guy to put myself out there as much. I'm really trying hard to come up with videos. So one of the challenging things right now is I told myself I was going to post a video last month, and I haven't posted it yet. I'm still figuring out what to post. So, there shows a little bit of, even though you're you're moving in the right direction. There are some challenges that you have as a person. So I think that everyone at the end of the day, we're growing one way or another.
Well, that's fantastic advice. So yeah, we thank you for spending the time with us. This has been amazing. And I think that our listeners, those in the industry, those coming into the industry, there's something for both of those types of folks there as well. So thank you for spending the time with us. We're overjoyed to hear about your successes, and thank you for sharing the challenges that you had. I think that will definitely help those in the industry and coming in.
Sue, again, your story really resonates and will resonate with a lot of people. So thank you again for being here and for sharing with us. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having me here. It was such a great time. And it all started from me listening to Joe. And I'm here today talking to you. So it's definitely an honor. And thanks very much for having me here.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the $1 Billion Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode.
For more in-depth entrepreneurial insights, follow us on social media. And for more info on the show, go to billiondollarpodcast.com.
See you next time.